Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about business strategies. What are they and how to differentiate between them? So we have four different types of strategies: integration, intensive, diversification, and defensive. First, we're going to talk about what is a strategy. A strategy is a long-term plan of action to achieve a goal. This plan of action is usually to address an opportunity or to solve a problem. Business needs a strategy in order to achieve its vision and mission. Let's start with integration strategies. You get three integration strategies: forward, backward, and horizontal. In the next slide, I have an example to help you understand the directions at which it's referring to. So for forward integration, it's talking about combining or taking over its distributor. So this involves expansion of business activities to gain control over the direct distribution of their products. For backward integration, the business combines or takes over its suppliers. The aim is to decrease dependency on those suppliers. And for horizontal integration, business takes control over another business that are in the same industry and sell the same products or services. The aim here is to reduce the threat of competition and substitute products. This is the example. So the business I'm using in the example is called True Cape. They sell apples and pears. So if we go backwards from the business, we see the supplier, which is Workwater Farmhouse or Farms. The business gets its apples and pears from Workwater. So when we look at the arrow and we see that it's going backwards, we see that if we had to do backward integration, the business would take over the supplier and therefore decrease the dependency on said supplier. Then if we go forward, we look at the forward arrow and we see distributors. Distributors of True Cape include Checkers, as in this example, but there's also ShopRite, Pick n Pay, Woolworths, etc. So if we had to do forward integration, then True Cape would combine with Checkers and maybe open its own True Cape store in which it sells primarily True Cape related products. Then if we go onto the same horizontal plane, if you will, you see these are both horizontal, we see the competition. A brand called 2 a Day, which also sells apples and pears. So if True Cape wanted to reduce its competition and risk of substitute products, then it would take over its competition 2 a Day. Moving on to intensive strategies. Here we have three: market penetration, market development, and product development. This is easy to remember because you have market, product, and then two developments. So for market penetration, in this context, penetration means entering, so entering a new market. New products penetrate an existing market at a low price. What's important here is that it's at a low price. The product is at a low price until it becomes well known, and then the price increases. This growth strategy is where business focuses on selling existing products to existing markets. The focus is on gaining a larger share of the market by reducing prices to increase sales. So the idea behind this is that your product comes in at a low price, lower than. So growth strategy where business focuses on selling existing products, existing markets, focuses on gaining a larger share of the market. For market development, this is a growth strategy where the business aims to sell its existing products in new markets. That's why this is important, because it's a new market, because you're developing your market. So this involves finding new markets and new ways of distributing products. For product development, this is a growth strategy where business aims to introduce a new product into existing market. So that's why it's product development, because it's a new product, but it's in an existing market. So market development was a new market, product development is a new product. And then the business generates new ideas and develops new products and services. Let's have a look at some examples. Example for market penetration is Netflix. When it first launched in South Africa, it started at 99 Rand, and as it grew, became a household essential. Its prices rose steadily to now, as it is 199 Rand. If you think about Netflix, when it first came into the market, it didn't have much competition, but its competition, something like DSTV, was a few hundred Rand, and Netflix came in at 99 Rand. So that's how it penetrated the market, because it came in lower than any other option. For market development, we look at Starbucks, which originated in the United States, and it slowly expanded into other countries such as China, India, and eventually South Africa, marketing the same core coffee products. So the coffee that they sell in the United States at Starbucks is the same coffee they sell in Starbucks in South Africa. So that's how it's developing its market, because the same product, just different markets. And then for product development, we look at Apple, because Apple introduces new products all the time, but it's in an existing market. So new products going from iPhone to iPad, MacBook, AirPods, you name it, but it's all an existing market that already buys Apple as it is. Moving on to diversification strategies. There's three. We're going to be looking at the idea of shapes in this one. So concentric, when you think of concentric, you think of a circle, if that makes sense. So in the circle, you see that the business adds a new product or service that is related to existing products that will appeal to new customers. So you are constantly adding new products, and you're going to appeal to new customers, but it's all related. So it makes the circle bigger, if that makes sense. Okay, you're making the circle bigger. So you're doing that by adding new products that will appeal to new customers, because the business wants to increase its product range and market. For horizontal, you're adding new products that are unrelated but will appeal to existing customers. So you're not changing the market, you're using the same customers, but you're adding new products that are unrelated. You'll see examples on the next slide. The business merges with another business that offers different products. So that's how they're the same business, but they offer products that are unrelated to each other. And then conglomerate, if you think about a group of people that are just strangers, but they're grouped together, you think of a conglomerate, because the business adds new products that is unrelated to existing products, which may appeal to a new group of customers. So unrelated to the existing product, but it appeals to new customers. So why would a business do this? To grow into new products, services, and market. So this is just about growth. Looking at examples, for concentric, we used Rip Curl as an example, because Rip Curl sells swimsuits, but now they've started selling surfboards as well. So the surfboards will appeal to new customers interested in surfing, but it's related to the original products, which are swimsuits. For horizontal, we look at a well-known brand called Bosch, which primarily sells tools and hardware, but they've recently started selling microwaves and other kitchen equipment and appliances. This is unrelated to their existing products, but it may appeal to existing customers, because a lot of customers see Bosch as a reputable brand, been around for a long time, products made in Germany. So customers who already buy Bosch may also carry on buying Bosch, even if it's unrelated products. And then for a conglomerate, we look at a brand like LG. LG is well known for its appliances such as microwaves, fridges, TVs, etc. But it's recently started selling cell phones. This is unrelated to their current products, which is big household appliances. And the markets that they are sold in is different, so it appeals to different customers, because the market that LG sells its appliances in, its appliances are unaffordable to the people who can afford their cell phones. The cell phones is marketed to a more affordable market, where LG's appliances are more exclusive, if you will. Last strategy, defensive strategy. So yeah, I want you to think the rest of the strategies was external to the business. It was the customers and the markets that it's sold in and stuff like that. So you have to think that if you think of micro, market, macro, you have to think of those strategies as being in the market environment. But defensive strategies, this is the micro environment, because you'll see each of them talks about the employees instead of the customers. So if we look in disinvestment, disinvestment is the opposite of investment. So if I'm investing in something, I'm putting my money into it. So disinvestment is taking my money out of it. So the business sells some assets that are no longer profitable. They may sell off some product lines that have slow growth potential, and the business sells ownership by decreasing the number of shareholders. So it's basically like making the business smaller. Retrenchment is terminating employment contracts for operational reasons. So you see operational reasons here. By decreasing the number of product lines, this can cause departments and employees to become redundant. So redundant means that you don't have a use anymore. So the business isn't going to continue employing employees that don't have work to do because of decreased product lines. I mean, that makes jobs unneeded anymore, because there's less work to be done. So that's retrenchment, terminating employment contracts. And then liquidation. Liquidation is like this investment, but it goes all the way. So instead of the business selling some assets, it's selling all assets. And this is due to lack of cash flow, so lack of money, disposable income. And then they would sell the entire business in order to pay off all liabilities, so loans and stuff, and then close it down. Companies in financial difficulty may apply for business rescue to avoid liquidation. So business rescue, something like an angel investor or something that can sort of get rid of the debt and the business can start from scratch. And then creditors, stuff like banks that they've taken loans out with, may apply for forced liquidation in order to have the debts settled. So if debts have been going on for too long, money's accumulated, the creditors can apply for the business to be forced to sell everything and close the business down, so that the creditors can be paid back with whatever money's accumulated after that. Okay, that is defensive strategies. Okay, so that is business strategies. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped.